Welcome to episode 22 of 6460, the show where I tell you 6 things that I love about Star Trek in honor of the 60th anniversary of the franchise. So, we're going to be a little serious this evening. I want to talk to you about mental health in the Star Trek universe. I think it's really important topic and probably something you wouldn't really think to talk about in science fiction. Or maybe you would. That might be a discussion for another day or another show entirely. So let's start with number 1 on the list is Voyager Season 5, Episode 11, called Latent. And Latent Image. That's the name of the episode. And we've already talked about this multiple times, where the holographic doctor goes crazy, and after many rounds of trying to just delete the memory from his programming, Janeway recognizes that the holographic doctor has grown and matured, and I'm not quite sure if she believes he's sentient or not, but she does realize that she just cannot keep erasing his memory. And the crew takes turns helping him work through his emotions and his feelings about the fact that he chose Harry Kim to live over another crewman, and they both had equal chances of survival. So I won't talk about that anymore because I've covered it in previous episodes from a different viewpoint. So number 2 on the list is Lower Decks, Season 1, Episode 9, Crisis Point, where Mariner is trying to work out her frustrations with her mom in the holodeck. And so there's a movie scene, essentially, and she's doing various things to work out her frustrations. And at the end, she ends up battling herself. Okay, not subtle at all. But it was an excellent episode. And then at the end of the episode, she gets sent to therapy with the Dr. Miglimo. He's a bird-like alien who makes a lot of food references and analogies. So it's very cute from that standpoint. But if you are familiar with Lower Decks, you will see that they're really dealing with Mariner's pain and drama through the entire series. So, and she does manage to work through her issues. And when we get towards the end of the series, she has a great revelation, and we see not a brand new Mariner, but we see a healing Mariner, which is excellent. And if you hear some noise in the background, my son is home visiting from college, and so the house is loud. So pardon him in his gaming outbursts. Okay, number 3. We have TOS, Season 1, Episode 9, Dagger of the Mind. So, again, we've talked about this particular episode before, where there's the Dr. Van Gelder has had his mind destroyed by his own invention, and ends up being mind wiped because they're at a colony where people who are not quite fitting into society and showing some I won't say mental deficiencies, just mental difficulties. They're having, mental health issues. And so they get sent to a colony for rehabilitation and therapy. And it goes horribly wrong because a patient ends up taking over the colony and the machine. And it's very sad. And again, we've talked about it in previous episodes. But also in TOS, later on, we get to Season 3, Episode 14, Whom Gods Destroy, with the famous phrase, Queens to Queens level 3, which You know, I said way back in December, I'm really, really bad with the names of episodes. So this is how I found the name of this episode. I actually typed in the little Google search, Queens of Queens, level 3, because that's what I remember, about the episode. Would not have known the name of the episode if you had offered to give me $10,000. Never would have come up with the name of the episode. But yeah, so there, the phrase "the Queens to Queens level 3" is because this is a high security facility for those who are criminally insane, and so there had to be, some precautions put in place, and so they had this passphrase that the crew would have to know that Kirk would have to give the response to in order to beam back up to the ship. So, but the point of this episode is, I've just went off on a big old tangent, is that, even though there weren't a lot of episodes about it, and really I'll say the only person I felt like in TOS who really consistently addressed mental health issues is really Spock, the logical one who wasn't supposed to be full of emotions and any kind of mental difficulties. We saw his growth in his conflicts he had in maintaining his mental health through the show. So that's kind of interesting. We might want to talk about that one day as well. But TOS did not ignore this very important part of society and, human existence. Now, did they always deal with it appropriately? Maybe not. I started to use the Janice Lester episode also as an example here. Although, part of the reason why I didn't do it is, did she really have a mental health issue? Or was she just vengeful? Was she just, an evil mastermind trying to take something that she felt she was rightfully owed? And, but kind of towards the end of the episode, they make it fit. This is my own personal interpretation. I felt like they were trying to say that she really hated herself as a woman, and therefore was having some kind of mental break and difficulty. Agree, disagree, let me know in the comments. I thought there was a little misogyny going there at the end of that particular episode, but maybe not. Maybe I'm just reading too much into it, but I didn't include it here. Okay, number 4 on the list is Voyager Season 2, Episode 16, Meld, where Suitor is a Betazoid former Marquis member, and he kills another crew member. So Tuvok mind melds with him to help him control and balance these homicidal tendencies. And in the process, loses some of his control. So a lot going on there. I thought it was interesting that, again, they're out in the middle of the Delta Quadrant by themselves, facing enemies on every hand and just difficulties more than you shake a stick at, and limited resources. They could have made the choice to say, you know what, Suitor, we're going to drop you on the first habitable planet that we find, or we're just going to space you, or maybe we're going to put you in stasis. There were a lot of things they could have done with all the challenges they were facing, but instead they chose to sacrifice, and, well, it was definitely a sacrifice for Tuvok, to help him heal. So again, I just think it's very indicative of the way the Star Trek universe has chosen to deal with mental health. They don't throw people away, regardless of the circumstances. They try to help people and work with people and not stigmatize them. So, again, great episode. Again, I don't think Voyager gets enough love in the Star Trek universe, but it definitely should get more. So, number 5 is DS9, Season 6, Episode 11, Waltz. Now, I think DS9 is just the bee's knees. Awesome, wonderful. Just the way they handle, wow, just so many things. It's wonderful. If you haven't watched it, please go watch it. If you haven't watched it in a while, rewatch it. So, in this episode, Dukat, he's just broken. So, in a previous episode, his daughter was murdered by his right-hand man, and he just loses it because at this point, he has given up his entire life for his daughter. He's lost his position. Well, he lost and then regained political power. But he's lost his wife. I think he had 7 children before her. Well, really after her, or maybe anyway, he has 7 other children, and he doesn't get to see them anymore because the wife is taking them away. And so when she dies, he has a mental break. And of course, the Federation still going to hold him accountable for his war crimes. But in the meantime, they're also seeing that he gets appropriate mental health care. So, you can say it's not going well for him. So he's being transported to trial, and his ship is attacked, and he and Cisco end up on a planet kind of stranded. Of course, this was Dukat's doing intentionally because he has disabled the communication device, and Cisco is injured. And we find out that Dukat is really just gone. He's having imaginary conversations with Kira and just all sorts of folks. He's Wayun is there in his imaginary ramblings. He's just having a difficult time. And so we begin to see it's not just the death of his daughter, but it's his loss of power and prestige. It is his, he's still harboring a lot of pain over losing Terek Nor, the space station to Cisco. He has feelings of inadequacy with regards to Cisco. He doesn't understand why he is not as beloved as Cisco is by folks. He's got a lot of issues, and they all come out. We see clearly, before you could guess, oh yeah, he's got a little ego problem there, but you really see all of his issues just come to the surface there in Waltz. So of course, Cisco's rescued at the end of the day, and Dukat goes on about his business, but again, excellent episode. And number 6 on the list, I'm sure you all already guessed, because even non-Star Trek fans, folks who don't care about the franchise at all, recognized this episode. So it's DS9, Season 7, Episode 10, It's Only a Paper Moon, where Nog comes home after physical rehabilitation in his hospital stay. This is after the episode Siege of AR 558. Again, another amazing episode where Nog has been injured and loses his leg. So he arrives back at the station. Of course, they've planned a huge party for him. He's not in the mood for it. And he's just walking, using his cane and limping. And people are kind of confused because with the modern medical care that they have, they're trying to figure out why in the world does this man have a limp? And then, it comes out it's psychological. He has a lot of, Nog is complaining of pain. And he is playing a song on repeat that was played during the siege where he lost his leg. So there's a lot going on. He's not working out with Jake Sisko as his roommate. He ends up in the holodeck. I would have thought about it. Now I can't remember the name of the Vic. In Vic's nightclub. And that's where he kind of forgets the world that he lives in, and he has immersed himself into Vic's world. And fortunately, unfortunately, Vic helps him work through his pain and trauma, but only after he's kind of forgotten that Nog is a real person with real pain and trauma. And it's the counselor there reminds him, hey, Nog can't stay here forever, and it's not fair to him for you to keep him here even though you're enjoying him being here with you. So eventually Nog does realize that he needs to leave the holodeck, but as a thank you to Vic, he arranges to have his program run continuously so he can continue to live the life he has been living while Nog was there. This is also another nod to the Federation beginning to recognize photonics as sentient beings. Not all, but the fact that there can be sentient photonic beings. So that is my 6 for 60 on mental health in the Star Trek universe. I love it. I think it's really important because a lot of science fiction that I grew up on as a young person that wasn't, apocalyptic, looked at the future where everyone was 100% healthy physically and mentally. And we just kind of glossed over any possibility that people might have mental health issues in a utopia. So I appreciate the Star Trek universe and all of the writers who address very serious issues such as mental health and did it in a respectful manner. So on the serious side, I just would like to let everyone who is watching know that if they ever have difficulties or suicidal thoughts or just need someone to talk to, that they can call 988. It is the United States nationwide suicide and crisis lifeline, and it provides 24/7 confidential support. So please, if you are having difficulties and feel that you need someone to talk to, please call 988. Live long and prosper, my friends.